Hello, hello, hello to episode 6 of card
Yes, good
of
old
card tricks
six.
and card tricks and cantrips.
Two for me.
Greetings, audience.
I should probably. Oh, shoot! There we go.
Oh,
Now we
now we're
can. Now
muted?
you can.
Okay.
No, 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 no. I
Oh.
I accidentally hit all of our beautiful faces.
Oh, okay.
Okay. Alrighty then. So, this week, I guess we can call it Cartridges and Cantrips: Origins, Part 1.
Sure, why not part 1?
Well, I mean, next week, because next week we're going to talk about, like, the
Yeah,
pre-release and
next.
so that,
Yeah,
so.
yeah, that's right. And then also
So,
next week I would or yeah next week I would also imagine we're gonna have at least one deck list with one of the
yeah,
new legendaries in the set.
right. So, yeah, Part 1.
Yeah.
Alrighty.
Yeah. So
Let's dive
this
in.
year we didn't have an episode last week, but so it's been 2 weeks. What's happened in Magic since then? Probably the biggest thing is the announced changes for Pro Tour Origins.
Right.
Um,
They're
which
trying
it's
out some
important
new
to note.
stuff.
It's important to note they are just testing these things for Pro Tour Origins. They've not said any plans to make them like official full-time rules.
Yeah, nothing set in
Indeed.
stone.
But I mean, the fact that they're trying it out, though, I mean, it's definitely an interesting thing. I mean, I definitely feel like it's an evolution of the game, kind of like a
Mm-hmm.
step forward, maybe, or backwards. I mean, I guess it depends on how you view the ruling. I mean, I definitely feel like if it becomes a thing, it'll be an interesting.
It'll be a crazy adaptation period. Oh my
Oh
god.
yeah, oh
Like
yeah, for
like
sure.
judging, there's gonna be okay. So for those of you that don't know what it is, the changes that they've announced, um, there is the first one is a change to the Mulligan rule. Normally in Mulligan, the current Mulligan rule is if you don't like your hand, okay, so each player draws whatever they need to draw, and then the player that goes first decides whether or not they want to keep their hand. If they keep the hand, they keep it, and then the other person decides. Um, but if they don't like their hand, they shuffle their hand back and draw the amount that they previously drew minus one. So, and then after they decide whether or not they want to keep their first hand, then the second player decides whether or not they want to keep. But as it keeps going, um, until both players decide that they want to keep their hand. Currently,
Exactly.
that's the entirety of how it works, which it leads to a lot of non-interactive games. If both players have to mulligan down to like 5, for example, then it's just there's almost guaranteed to be no interaction between both players for like the first few turns, which makes some really boring games.
It
So
does.
the change that has been announced is that after you decide you're keeping your hand, if you have fewer than 7 cards in your hand, you get to scry one. And so that makes some hands that might normally be unkeepable, like, oh, I get to kind of pseudo draw another card. So like, oh man, I have one land, I really need a second one, or like I've got one land and a mana dork and I've got 3 drops. Well then that's probably a keepable hand at that point if you mulligan to it, because you can scry one to dig one deeper for a land if you need to. The other change is a bit more complicated, um, which we'll get to that in a moment. Um, but the scrying thing, I think, will cause a lot of problems with at least judging it regular, because like FNMs and stuff. Because
Right.
like when there's people that have been playing this game for 20 plus years, and when you suddenly change something that's as integral as the Mulligan rule, it's really hard to break the habit that they've gotten in over a period of 20 years.
Right. And plus, I mean, you're probably gonna get a lot of calls that somebody look at the top of their deck and they're gonna be like, "Oh wait, no, it's not like illegal anymore.
Hmm.
You can do that. You're allowed to do that."
I
So I
wonder what
mean,
the penalty will wind up being if they make this a real rule, and what the penalty will wind up being if, like, someone mulligans and then they keep their 6 card hand, and then they start the game, and then like a turn into the game, they're like, "Oh crap, I didn't do my scry." What kind of penalty
Right.
would that get? Like, I have no idea.
Right. Well, I mean, like, would it be a penalty for not scrying though? Like, would the scry be forced or would it be optional?
Like, you're supposed to scry no matter what. However, it's always beneficial to scry, so I don't. There wouldn't be a
Okay. Right.
penalty,
Yeah.
but like, there's like, for example, with triggers, if it's a beneficial miss trigger, then
Right.
you're never actually penalized for just misplaying. Um, but there is it kind of gets a little complicated. I'm not going to take the time to get into it, but yeah,
Right. I mean, like, I just feel like for that they wouldn't punish the player. They would just be like, you don't get the scry.
yeah.
Yeah. Overall, I think it's going to be a really good move for pro play, just to
Yeah.
keep that
hmm
exciting, keep the forward momentum in the game.
And also at
'Cause-
at the professional level, where sometimes it's just like, oh man, I just lost $10,000 because I got screwed by RNG. Then
Right.
right.
that's really shitty.
Yep. For sure. But,
And then the
and
other
then I
thing
mean,
has to do with playing on camera. The biggest change is that judges can use camera footage as part of an investigation into a ruling.
Now that's
Which
that's during the match, right? Because I know they used to do that after the match sometimes.
they would do that to investigate for banning people,
Okay.
but
like,
they would
not as far
never.
as making rulings. They
Mhm.
wouldn't do it for as far as making rulings went. They didn't like it wasn't like sports. They would like instant replay it. Like they didn't do
Mhm.
it for that purpose.
But that's what they're basically going to do now.
Yep.
Yes, they're allowed to.
Basically, I think the thing that pushed it over the edge is the I fetched with my verdant catacombs and got a ghost quarter incident that happened.
Right. Yeah, that happened. That was a thing.
Yep. But yeah, um,
So I
but
mean, again,
like we said, they're just testing it with Origins. It's not official rules, so there's not a ton of need to talk about it in depth yet, seeing as
yeah.
it's not a real thing outside of Pro Tour Origins yet.
But now the thing you came here for these Magic Origin spoilers. The full list came out, I believe, yesterday or the day before.
Um, it was
I think
it was Saturday.
Saturday.
So day
And
before.
so now we have a full list of all the spoilers for Magic Origins. And I mean, it looks to be interesting. Slightly better than your average quote unquote core set, for sure.
Although M15 was pretty solid, I think.
I did not have a good M15 limited experience, so I'm going to disagree with you.
Okay.
I am going to super disagree with you. But, you know, hey.
Yeah. I have
But I mean,
I don't have
sorry,
like
go on.
any experience with the core sets because core sets for me are just like, what new card did they print? Because I don't really
What new
care.
card?
Yeah, like what
What
new
new
cards did they
card?
print? Because like I know all the old cards and I have what I have, so
hmm
I'm like, oh, what's new? And you
Which
Right.
know
You get
that's the
the
case for
core sets
most
are
people.
for yeah.
which is why I think they're moving away from printing core sets
This
now, and
is
they're gonna have like
this is the last core set. After this, they are switching to the two set block structure, where there will be two blocks printed per year instead of one three set block. Well, parts of blocks, but in the
right,
core set. So it'll still be the same release time frame structure, but the design structure of the sets will be very different.
indeed. So I mean, this is definitely like a pretty big set for them because it's like their last,
The last hurrah.
hurrah, if you will. But I mean, overall, I mean, again, I mean, obviously we have to wait to see how it plays out. But
hmm
I'm relatively satisfied with this set, and from a commander perspective,
Brings a
There's some
lot of
really
yeah,
cool stuff.
we have some really cool toys to play with. But let's dive in, I guess.
So,
So I guess we can start with the planeswalker slash creatures and get those out of the way. Those are the ones that everybody
yeah,
that's the
those are
big
the
the
thing, yeah.
earliest spoilers.
by far the newest thing as far as feeling new that the set has is these planeswalkers. Here, I'll click on Gideon, aka Kytheon. Still don't know. I haven't read
Yeah.
his story yet.
Something with the lore.
Kytheon, that's his name.
All right. Um, and so the planeswalkers in this set, which is Gideon, Jace, Liliana, Chandra, Nissa. They start
You
out
know
as
what?
legendary creatures. Huh?
I just had a thing. I think it might be Kytheon. Might be
Okay.
Kytheon. Only
Oh
because
my God, Kytheon
only
Gideon. It makes
because
sense.
only because in the story when he planeswalks advance and he says his name, the person mistakes it as Gideon. And when I first read it, I was like, how could you mistake Kytheon for Gideon? But if it was Kytheon, I bet it would sound almost like Gideon, and that's what she made that mistake. Look at that. Learned something. Um,
So Kytheon, hero of Akros. So all the planeswalkers in this set start out as legendary creatures. And by the way, they all have converted mana cost 3 or less, so they're all tiny leaders legal. Yay! And
give me that Chandra, son.
so then they all state something that would cause them to exile and then come back transformed. So as their planeswalker status. So for Kytheon here, he's a 2/1 for 1, so we've got a Savannah Lion with a pretty solid effect of 2 and a white, gaining indestructible until end of turn.
Which is
That power
solid.
creep.
I'm about to say that power creep.
Yep. But at the end of combat, if Kytheon, hero of Akros, and at least 2 other creatures attack this combat, exile Kytheon, then return him to the battlefield transformed under his owner's control. His planeswalker side, Gideon Battleforged, enters with 3 loyalty counters, and he has +2 up to 1 target creature an opponent controls attacks Gideon Battleforged during his controller's next turn if able. So it's kind of a more selected version of Gideon Jura. And he also has another plus ability, +1 until your next turn. Target creature gains indestructible. Untap that creature. From a commander perspective, I think that's really interesting that it's just any target creature.
Right. So I mean, you can definitely play a little politics with it, for
Mm-hmm.
sure. But I mean, there's also the fact that you can have him. You can kind of, um,
Mm-hmm.
swing and then still use him to untap the creature and have like a blocker to protect your planeswalker.
And then he has a 0 ability, like many other Gideons, where he turns into a creature again now. But this time he's a 4/4, indestructible, prevent all damage that would be dealt to him this turn.
Right. I mean, like in tiny leaders, I definitely see him. Like in a white weenies thing, he could be a beast. I mean,
Mm-hmm.
a
Definitely.
4/4 beater every turn is gonna be really strong.
I would super put him into Isamaru Hanakanda.
Oh, yeah. Are you enjoying that drink there, Alex?
I just finished it.
Are you?
Okay,
Yeah. Are you
good.
sure?
Yep.
All
Not a
right.
Was it
drop left.
loud? Was it loud?
All right. Only a lot. So don't
I'm
worry.
sorry.
Um, the next planeswalker
I
is
apologize to the
Jace.
viewers. I walked outside my room and my dad was like, "Hey, margaritas," and I was like, "Okay."
Now I really want a margarita. Thanks, Alex.
You had one
Is
the other day.
Jace. I want more. I love them.
All right, but yeah,
Jace,
Jace.
Vryn's Prodigy. He costs 1 in a blue. He's a 0/2, so he's the weakest of the 5 walkers. His ability is tap, draw a card, then discard a card. If there are 5 or more cards in your graveyard, exile Jace Vryn's Prodigy. They're returned to the battlefield transformed under his owner's control. Now, I mean, the looting effect, I think, is going to be really good, I mean, for control strategies. And I mean, seeing as how Delve is such a relevant part of the strategy right now, I don't see there being 5 or more cards in the graveyard being a hard thing to do.
I mean, in standard, it's basically a Merfolk looter, which that card's good. And then, you okay, John?
Yeah, I'm fine. I'm good. I'm still here. Yes, but it's a Merfolk looter that then becomes a planeswalker after you use it.
Yep.
And it's a pretty solid planeswalker, like -3
Yeah.
Snapcaster. There we go.
Right.
Yeah.
+1 up to 1 target creature gets -2 -0. So again, and it's important to notice he comes in with 5 loyalty, which is the highest loyalty of these planeswalkers.
Yep. We got to get him up to 9 to break him, which is again the
I mean,
highest.
yeah, you get an emblem with whenever you cast a spell, target opponent puts the top 5 cards of his or her library into his or her graveyard. So not I mean, amazing, but
Yeah.
I
But
mean,
he's still
it's still solid. And I mean, from a commander perspective, you can definitely I think it'll help from a commander perspective in that mill strategies in commander are um are really difficult to pull off because mill strategies lend themselves to focusing a person, and in
yeah.
commander, uh, you need to be able to definitely do more than one for one. And plus, if you're super hard in building someone, people tend to focus you.
And you
So
can
I
run
mean,
out of
definitely
resources a lot, where this is repeatable.
exactly right. So I mean, like definitely being able to put this on someone you can it can just help maximize the value from all of your spells. Um, Next we have Liliana, who is one of my favorites. Super
Yeah,
excited
she's
for
a
Oh
her
my
ever
fun.
god,
since we
I am
announced her.
absolutely putting her into my tiny leaders. She's gonna find a spot.
Yes, she is definitely going to be one of my tiny leaders for sure. I already got a mono black deck brewing. But she costs 1 and 2 black. She's lifelink. Whenever another non-token creature, she's a 2/3. Whenever another non-token creature you control dies, exile her, and then return to the battlefield under your control. And if you do, you put a 2/2 black zombie into play. So right there, one, she's I mean a 2/3 with lifelink for 3 is not a terrible creature to be honest.
Hmm. I mean, it's
Um,
not
and
great,
that
but
I mean,
at
yeah,
the
I mean, it's not
mythic, that's
amazing, but
bad.
it's not. Yeah, for a mythic, that's bad. But like as like just like a creature, that's not awful. Um, and then when she flips, she comes in, she puts a creature into play, so she protects herself, which is really really strong for a planeswalker. Um, and then when she flips, you get her +2. It's each player discards a card, so shades of her veiled self already
Hmm.
there. And then her neg X is return target non-legendary creature card and convert a mana cost X from your graveyard to the battlefield. So like I could definitely see I could definitely see like in standard rocking that out with some of that Gary.
For the short time they'll be legal together, yeah.
Yeah, for the short time to be
Because
legal
if
together.
you flip her, you have something to protect her with. You plus her, she's up to 5. At that point, then in your next turn, you can bring back Gary.
Right. Which I mean depending on the deck could be a solid
Yeah.
play. Then you have her negate, which you get an emblem with whenever a creature dies, returns to the battlefield under your control at the beginning of the next end step. Which is for
Great.
commander, that is huge.
Yep.
That will be definitely in commander. This will be one of those that you need to kill it like a right
Hmm.
away because you
Yeah.
cannot things like to die in commander. And
Yeah.
Unfortunately, my commander deck wishes there was a different way to flip her, because if I could just get the Planeswalker side, that would be freaking amazing. But
yes,
yeah, I don't have many non-token creatures that are capable of dying.
right, very true. So Alex will be relying on somebody else to do it.
Yeah, he
So
just couldn't. Yeah.
The
Chandra,
murder rate.
I think the Chandra is actually the best one of the bunch, which Jameson's not here
Yeah.
right now, but he agrees.
I
I
also
I do.
talked with him a lot about it.
I don't know. I don't know if in commander she's the strongest,
Oh
but
yeah,
definitely like it.
as
But
far as
definitely
just
like one on one. I definitely think she's arguably the strongest one.
yeah. Interestingly enough, I think it's for Commander Nissa is the strongest,
Oh yeah, for sure.
definitely.
I
but
would
yeah.
agree with that.
So anyways, what Chandra does is she costs 1 double red. She's a 2/2 human shaman. Whenever you cast a red spell, untap Chandra Fire of Kaladesh. That's her creature side. She has an ability tap Chandra Fire of Kaladesh deals 1 damage to target player. If Chandra has dealt 3 or more damage this turn, exile her. Then return her to the battlefield transformed under her owner's control. So while it sounds like, oh man, I have to cast like a ton of spells to be able to flip her, that's not entirely the case. Because remember, she can attack. It doesn't have to be 3 damage from that ability. It's just damage at all.
Yep.
Um,
Plus, that's only 2 spells. That's really not
So
that
I mean, like
many.
you can
mhm.
easily tap her to ping, you know, bolt away their creature, attack, ping again, hit them with hit them with another spell, ping, tap,
Yeah.
untap her, tap her, boom,
Plus, there's a
planeswalker.
lot. that we haven't talked about it yet, but there are some effects in this that's making red sources deal more, I believe, isn't there? Like the
Um, there is something, and then there's the one that the mythic artifact that, or mythic rare. I think it might just be a rare artifact. The Chandra's goggles that copies spells. Anyways, so when Chandra flips, she has 4 loyalty counters. She has +1, deal 2 damage to target player. -2, deal 2 damage to target creature. And -7, Chandra Roaring Flame deals 6 damage to each opponent. Each player dealt damage this way gets an emblem with at the beginning of your upkeep. This emblem deals 3 damage to you. So that emblem is freaking amazing.
yeah.
Yeah, the emblem is really good.
Plus, 6 damage to your opponent doesn't hurt,
Yeah, that's
or at
not.
least
Yeah,
not yourself.
Yeah,
yeah. I mean, definitely being able to pull that off puts the game on a huge clock.
yeah. And then we have Nissa, Vastwood Seer. She costs 2 and a green. She's a 2/2 Elf Scout. When Nissa enters the battlefield, you may search your library for a basic forest card, reveal it, and put it into your hand. Then shuffle your library. Whenever a land enters the battlefield under your control, if you control 7 or more lands, exile Nissa, then return her to the battlefield transformed under her owner's control. So, in Commander, she's not so bad to flip, because, it tends to be a slower game, so you can get 7 lands pretty easy.
Oh yeah.
So she enters with 3 loyalty counters. She has +1, reveal the top card of your library. If it's a land card, put it onto the battlefield. Otherwise, put it into your hand. So mono green card draw and ramp simultaneously is pretty solid. She has -2, put a legendary 4/4 green elemental creature token named Ashaya the Awoken World onto the battlefield.
Which
So
again,
makes a dude
she comes in right away and she's able to protect herself. Which again is, I mean,
important.
she has to go down to 1 to do it, but
Still, it
for a
protects her.
planeswalker, very important.
-7, untap up to 6 target lands. They become 6/6 elemental creatures. They're still lands. Now, I think, again, very important is that they don't have to be your lands. So what you can actually do is -7, untap someone else's lands, and then wipe the board.
You can. I'm super excited for this card because I actually have my mono green commander deck is all about lands matter and using my
Yeah.
lands as dudes and using my lands as dudes to beat you in the face.
Hmm.
So I'm super
Yeah.
excited for her in that regard. Like, and I have been using it much because I've been looking for a way to kind of like revamp it, you know. And there's really a lot of stuff from this set that has me excited that I can put.
Are you there,
Just
John?
moving down now,
Okay, we got him. Maybe.
we
All right.
got we got Archangel of Tithes, which is
Yep.
nifty card.
Fantastic.
I think that's
One
a
and
great
three
new card.
white, right? She's a 3/5 flyer for 4, which is not a bad creature.
You get your value
Standard
there.
in standard, she doesn't die to Stoke the Flames. She doesn't die to the mass -4/-4 card that's in here that we'll get to. But
She does not. And as long as she's untapped, creature can attack you or in planes where you control unless they pay 1 colorless. And as long as it's attacking, players can't block unless they pay 1 colorless for each creature they're blocking. And
really good.
that's really, yeah. If only she costs 3.
Yeah. But still, 4 is
I
good.
would take her as a 2/2 if she costs 3. Like, holy crap.
Right, for sure.
Disciple of the Ring is kinda I think. The Commander is
Yeah.
probably alright. She's a 3/4 for 3 and double blue. She's a wizard, so that's relevant. You
I
can
mean,
pay
yeah,
1
I
and
think
exile.
Azami might like her.
Yeah, you can pay 1 and exile an instant or sorcery card from your graveyard, and then you choose one. Counter target non-creature spell unless its controller pays 2. So, Disciple of the Ring gets +2. Sorry, +1/+1 until end of turn. Or you can tap target creature, or you can untap target creature. So I think
definitely think
Azami would
those.
absolutely like her because
Oh
you
yeah,
can
for sure.
untap. Because you can actually tap her to draw with Azami, and then use the ability and untap her, So basically, it's
Hmm.
like pay one and exile a card from, or exile an instant or sorcery card from your graveyard to draw a card.
To draw a card, right? Which is not awful in that deck.
Hmm.
The next card is one I'm super excited for. Erebos' Titan. I'm excited for this because I'm definitely thinking about playing like green black in modern, and I feel like this card might not actually be terrible in modern. I mean, it's a 5/5, and I mean, you already run like Phyrexian Obliterator, and this one is also a 5/5. It doesn't have the trample or the retarded ability, but,
It's
I mean,
slightly easier to cast.
yeah, it is. That's to
It's
say, it's slightly easier to cast, which is important in that deck. I mean, as long as your opponent's control no creatures, he's indestructible. And whenever a creature card leaves an opponent's graveyard, I may discard a card. If I do, return him from my graveyard to my hand. And I mean, like you're running green back, so you have you have oh my gosh, crazy elf dude. Oh my gosh, I
I'm
can't remember his
sorry.
name.
What's he do?
He's banned. He's banned in modern though. Never mind. Um, but no one can think of the card. Alex, he's in your deck.
In my deck?
Shaman, what's his face? The card, he taps for a color or he exiles a spell and you deal 2 damage.
Oh, Deathrite Shaman.
Yes, that's the one, but he's banned in modern. Um,
Yeah.
which is sad. But anyway, yeah, Erebos is Titan. And also I think like even in Commander, this guy is just solid for black.
It's 5/5 for
Hmm.
4.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah, I definitely feel like
Who comes back?
right?
Yeah,
I
I
mean,
think the
I
biggest thing
def
is coming back because there's some decks that just alright, they need to keep the board dead, but if you can't keep a 5/5 dead, then that's a problem.
Well,
yeah,
plus
and I
you
mean,
with him, you can he could be dead. You're playing black. You can board wipe. You bring him back. Play
right,
him.
Hmm.
Then your opponents have no creatures. You got a 5/5 indestructible.
right. Which is yeah. I mean, I definitely feel like he might go into Sidisi. I haven't decided yet.
Yeah, I think he would work in Sidisi. Although he's not a zombie, but
He's not. The next
um
card is a card that I really want to be good. I would like for it to be good, but it's not gonna be good because that last ability is just insurmountable. But Avaricious Dragon, he's a 4/4 flyer for 4, which and at the beginning of your draw step you draw an additional card. Seems all gravy,
for especially for red.
especially for red. Like this is everything they wanted and more. And then you get that last ability, and then you just everything just you cry on the inside. At the
Hmm.
beginning of your end step, you discard your hand, and that's.
So
It's
I
very
mean, like
not
simple.
much
the
to see
issue is
here.
that
It's playable in like a super fast burn strategy, but at that point you need to get 4 lands, which you'd rather
right,
just
and
2 of those lands be burn spells.
that's what I'm gonna say. Like you said, in a super fast burn deck, it'd be great. But if you at that point, if you have 4 lands, you just want to burn them 4 times. Woodland Bellower though. When it was the battlefield, you may search your library for a non-legendary green creature card and
Love
convert a
this
mana
guy.
cost 3 or less, and put it on the battlefield. He's a six
So
five
good.
for 6, so I mean, solid body. And I mean, his ability is solid. I mean, it lets you search for Nissa.
No, it
She's
doesn't. It's
legendary. No, it
non-legendary.
doesn't. She's legendary. But
Yep.
I mean, it can definitely let you get like a whole bunch of good utility creatures for sure.
There's in Commander, this actually enables a lot of combo. This can be an
Yeah.
additional way to search for if you're playing elves. It allows you to search for Azuri Renegade Leader. It
No, it
allows
doesn't. She's
you to.
legendary.
Oh
She's
shit, you're right.
legendary.
Oh my god, this is easy to forget. Why is it so easy to forget?
It's not,
Fine,
but
fine.
but
It lets you
but what it
search
does let you do,
for.
you can get any of the lords. You can get any of your elf lords. So I mean,
Yeah,
like
that's true.
you can easily get an elvish champion for an alpha strike against like someone who has forest.
Uh huh.
Or I mean, you can definitely, or you can search for, I mean, like Imperious Perfect. Um,
Yeah, lots of stuff. And
yeah,
then
for sure.
like Shaman of
Then
the Shaman of the Forgotten Ways a 3-drop, right?
it is. Yes.
So decks that would love this card could definitely just go and grab their Shaman of the Forgotten Ways, and then they can buy Rhythm.
Yep.
Yeah.
Because he enables the Formidable as well.
It does. Next, you got Starfield of Nyx, a card that I'm super excited for. because it's super going to Tristani because of all those enchantments I have in there. But at the
Yeah.
beginning of your upkeep, you may return target enchantment card from your graveyard to the battlefield, and then Opalescence. As long
If
as
you
you
have,
control 5 or more enchantments, each other non-aura enchantment you control is a creature in addition to its other types. And its base power and base toughness equal to its converted mana cost. So effective Opalescence reprint.
and
Yep.
the art is really pretty, and I want a foil.
Me too.
I bet it looks awesome foil.
But Alex,
Um,
I'm sure the judges are gonna love that new Opalescence though.
oh my
Sure
god.
sure you guys are gonna have lots of fun with that one.
It's not a problem until they play enchantments that modify stuff. And most enchantments that modify stuff in standard, at least, and even in modern, are going to be auras, so it's not a huge issue. But no one's playing humility, right? So it's okay.
I'm super excited for it, mainly almost simply because of just the enchantment recursion every turn.
hmm
Yeah.
Like that's super
That's
important.
actually really relevant right now.
Yeah.
Yes, especially
Plus,
since again, enchantment creatures are in fact a thing.
yeah, if you've got all your full 5, it's a 5/5 creature for 5 that brings your creatures back every turn.
Yeah,
It's
Right.
ridiculous.
I
The
really
thing I
think
really love
that
about it,
black white constellations is going to be a thing. I think.
yeah. The thing I love about it for Tristani is that it makes asceticism protect itself, which
Yep.
actually it makes asceticism really stupid. Oh my gosh.
Because it's not already.
Yeah.
So the next card is Pseudo Power 9. It's called Days Undoing. It's a sorcery, 2 and a blue. Each player shuffles his or her hand and graveyard into his or her library, then draws 7 cards. If it's your turn, end the turn. So there's a lot of opinions about this card. I like it.
There are. I,
Um,
I like it too. I definitely feel like I might put it into Keranos. I might even put it into Una. I haven't decided yet.
in Commander, you can do the techie stuff to be able to cast it at instant speed.
Right.
And then honestly, outside in Commander, I'm not sure how much this will actually get played. I'm not sure. Maybe.
Yeah. Right.
But in Commander, or outside of Commander, excuse me. Um, like in Standard, like a lot of people are hating on it for the end of your turn thing. Like, let's say you can't, find a way to cast it at instant speed. That it's still
You can
okay
just
because let's say you have no other cards in your hand after that, and you're playing like a like Jeskai Burn or some other like blue red or blue red X aggressive strategy. So that's your only card left in your hand, and your opponent
yeah.
already has like 6 cards. You're not giving them 7 cards. You're giving them 1 card, and who knows if they're even going to want any of those cards. They've probably been sculpting their hand to deal with your threats, and then
In it
you're going to
in
get a full
exchange.
7 cards.
Right. Right. And I mean, plus, like it says end your turn, but it's not like you have to cast it during your upkeep. So you can totally
Yeah,
like take your turn, empty your hand, and then
and then do it. Yeah.
do it right, like easily.
Just prevents you from doing your hand all over again, basically.
hmm
Well, I mean,
It's like it'd
that's
give you like
assuming.
an extra turn, kind of.
Well, I mean, like effectively it would, but like the thing is, like in control decks though, it's fine because they just have a full grip of counter spells that they only use 3 mana for. That
Yeah.
they ostensibly have more mana open to just do stuff on your turn, so it doesn't matter.
hmm
To me, it,
And
it just says
then
end that turn. It doesn't say skip your next turn. Like it just says end that turn. So you're like, you know,
in
you've already done
control,
stuff.
like, don't get me wrong, I don't think control wants to be playing this card. It's definitely an aggressive card. Like,
I can see that actually. Yeah.
because
The
if
next one is
control plays this, then they might accidentally reload their opponent's hand with threats. Which the
right.
whole point of control is eliminate threats until they run out of gas.
Right.
Which, by the way, when we're
Um.
done with mythics, we're just gonna pick through stuff. We wanted to cover every mythic.
Right. Demonic Pact is. We talked about this a little bit before the podcast. I mean, I think it might
John
see
doesn't
some
like it. Don't.
play. I don't like it. I don't like.
I like it.
I mean, it's okay. It's cool. The idea is cool.
Flavorful.
I like.
It's yeah.
Yeah, it's flavorful. I like the idea of the card more than I like the card.
If
But
Suicide Black decks and like 1v1 stuff can definitely, I think this card will see play. But Commander, I don't know. It has to take a
I
very
don't.
specific kind of deck.
Yeah, like for sure. But oh well. The
I
last
mean,
mythic is
no, go ahead. We can
is
go to.
the
Second to
Great
last mythic.
Aurora.
No,
Second to last?
we skipped the red one. Abbot of Carol Keep.
But
It's
that's
Which
not
only
mythic.
a
no,
rare.
you're
It's
right.
only a
That's
rare.
not a mythic. You're right. Holy shit.
Yeah.
Why does red
Is
own?
the
Oh, because they have the artifact. Okay.
Yep.
yeah. Is the
Got
Great
this.
Aurora. Which awesome. I mean, it costs 9, so definitely not going to see non-commander play.
Yeah.
Um, but each player shuffles all cards from his or her hand and all permanents he or she owns into his or her library, then draws that many cards. Each player may put any number of land cards from his or her hand onto the battlefield. Exile the Great Aurora. So when I saw this, I thought, oh, awesome for my land deck. I then realized that I have to get rid of my creatures, which made me sad because my dream would have been to play this with like a rampaging battle op in play and just
Mhm.
outvalue everyone.
Yeah, and this because it costs so much mana and it's a sorcery, you're gonna get benefit from it last if there's benefit at all. Um, I don't like this card to be honest. I mean, it goes
Yeah.
great in a chaos deck, but there's not many chaos decks running green.
Right? I mean, it's
It's a green board wipe, effectively.
Oh, I suppose. Yeah,
right. Which I
a
mean, I guess
9 mana green board wipe.
I mean, like, ostensibly, I mean, like, it would work for my green deck in that regard, only because that deck is like I run 48 lands in that deck, I think. So, like, ostensibly, I could just like just drop all the lands and then have a whole bunch of cards left to cast on my next turn. But I don't know. It's
I mean,
okay. I'm sure somebody will find a use for it.
green decks with lots of tokens. I mean,
Yeah. Oh yeah, because it is all permanents. It's not non-token. So token
Right. So I
decks
mean,
will actually like it.
right? Because I mean, in that case, yeah, they'll just outvalue you with drawing all the cards.
You're gonna draw 15. I'm gonna draw 40. You know, whatever.
Right. Um. Now on to just the rares and other stuff. We
Well,
have. I mean,
we still missed a mythic. There's an artifact.
the
oh right, the goggles.
Pyromancer's Gavels.
Which
Oh, there's two artifact mythics. All right,
are there
so we've
really?
got
Oh,
yep. There's Pyromancer's Goggles, which is a legendary artifact for 5 mana. You can tap it to add a red to your mana pool. When that mana is spent to cast a red instant or sorcery spell, copy that spell, and you may choose new targets for the copy. Now, this card I think is amazing in Commander.
Oh my
yeah.
gosh, this
Um,
card is going into Keranos so hard. So hard is this card going into Keranos. Can I? I'm gonna wild ricochet, and I'm gonna wild ricochet. Your wild
like
ricochet.
in red
Are
Second
those
decks,
wild
Chandra's
ricochet.
goggles though?
They are.
yeah, yeah.
Okay.
In red decks, this is basically just a better Mirari.
It is
Taps your
hands
man.
down. The other one I totally forgot about.
Yeah,
Almana's
me too.
Archive. That card
Which is
also I feel like
ridiculous.
needs to go
Is
into Keranos actually. But if I would gain life, you gain twice that much life. It costs 5. That
Yeah.
card isn't. I mean, that part is actually really relevant, but not for the purposes I'm thinking. But if I would draw a card, except the first one you draw in each of your draw steps, draw 2 cards instead. So with Keranos, that makes it I go from 1 to 3 cards every turn.
just so people remember, that means Brainstorm becomes draw 6, put 2 on top.
Yes.
Yeah.
In case people forgot. Toss in a thought reflection and well, value.
Yep.
Well, this turns that the one Days Undoing into draw 14.
That it does. Oh my god.
I actually am starting to really like this card.
I know. Oh man.
Oh my god, it turns that green mythic, the Aurora thing, and draw twice.
It to just draw your deck.
And to accidentally lose to Mill.
Indeed, hilarity.
Oh
Okay,
man.
now as for
So okay.
rares, we have Abbot of Carroll Keep, which I kind of like this card. Um,
That might actually be my favorite rare in the set.
it's pretty awesome. And when it enters the battlefield, exile the top card of your library until end of turn you may play it. It's a 2/1 for 2 for 1 of the red with prowess. That's just, I mean, it's value, when you
It's
cast it.
in
And in a
in
burn deck,
in a lot of red decks, in my opinion, it becomes a better red um Elvish
Elvis
Visionary.
Visionary,
Yeah.
yeah, and it's solid. Um,
In
the
Commander
more
it's
custom,
marginal though.
yeah. I guess we should run through the legends for Commander too. So
Yeah.
you have a Pixis Prison Warden, who's a 4/4 for 5, 3 and 2 white. He has flash, and whenever a creature does combat damage to you, if he enters the battlefield this turn, exile that creature until he leaves play. So I mean, in theory, it could happen after someone tries to alpha strike you, and you survive it. You flash him into play, and since it doesn't say creature, it affects all creatures that dealt damage to you. So
Mhm.
you can ostensibly wipe their board.
But
Yeah.
holding a commander in your command zone until someone's trying to do a killing blow.
Right.
Yeah, which I don't think that he would be played as a commander. There's some
I don't
decks
even think
that
he'd be
could
part of the
play him in
99.
the deck, but I mean, I would give him a 4 out of 10. I'm not really impressed with him.
No. Um, Al Hamar, the High Arbiter. He's a 5/5 for 7, which is kind of high.
Yeah.
Flying.
Flying.
When he enters the battlefield, each opponent reveals his or her hand, and you choose the name of a non-land card revealed this way, and your opponent can't cast spells with the chosen name. I mean, he's basically super meddling mage, which is, I mean, I guess cool. I don't know if I pay 7 mana for him though.
And it can only be stuff that's in their
They
hands,
have in their
so
hand.
Right? So I mean,
yeah.
essentially, they just let you choose a card that they can't cast in their hand, which is whatever. And I mean, I
Which
suppose
if
there's
it's an
overlap in
instant,
people's deck.
if it's an instant that like people are like, oh man, I know he'll pick this because this card's too good, they can probably just cast it in response. I think this guy's even
Right?
worse than the other guy. This guy's like a 3 out of 10.
For sure. Um, Kothoped Soul Hoarder costs 6, and he's a 6/6. These are all monocolored, by the way.
By the way, all of these
Yeah.
legendary creatures we're talking about now, they are the legendary creatures that come with the intro packs for the set.
But the Soul Hoarder, whenever a permanent owned by another player is put into a graveyard from the battlefield, you draw a card, you lose a life.
My flip
So-
flops again to mow the lawn.
Which I mean isn't is interesting for a black
Dude.
deck.
You're clean.
Mhm.
It's all freaking green.
It's not a great, it's not amazing, but I don't think it's like awful.
Yeah.
I'd
Yeah.
give him like a 6/10.
Turns a kill spell into a draw card.
I just
Right,
wish it
definitely is
was.
nice.
I just wish it was you may draw a card and lose one life. That's
Yeah,
my only
like,
complaint.
yeah. I just definitely feel like this could eventually end up killing you far
Yeah.
too often. Um,
But he's powerful.
yeah, yes. He is a 6/6 flyer for 6.
With card advancement in black. So
Right. You have Pia and Kiran Nalar. When he enters the battlefield, you put 2/1/1 color stop their creature tokens on the battlefield. And then you can pay 2 in a red and sacrifice an artifact, and it deals 2 damage to target creature or player.
I'm just
I like
kidding.
their enter the battlefield effect. I think it's actually
Yeah.
usable. You could put it into like a Riku deck or something. However, I think their ability is a little overcosted, but still it's solid utility. I think they're
I
alright.
agree. I mean, I definitely feel like they'll. I mean, I definitely like that they're pushing red to be the artifact color now, for sure. I mean, they're all right. I definitely think they'll be interesting commander. I'm definitely excited to see what people are going to do with it.
Yeah.
I mean,
I think it'll see play.
personally, I still prefer Duretti, but
Yeah.
And I actually feel like their decks will be really similar, to be honest, because they're both, as far as
I think
sacrificing artifacts for value.
I think you actually put this into ready.
Yeah. Yeah, I think I would definitely put it in there instead of running it as the commander itself.
Uh-huh.
And then you have Dwynen. Dwynen? I don't know. Guiltleaf Dane. It's 2 and 2 green. It's a 3/4 with reach. Other elk creatures you control get +1/+1. And whenever she attacks.
She.
I think it's a she.
She attacks. You gain 1 life for each attacking elf you control. So I think one thing to remember is that Alex really wishes this was Tiny Leaders legal.
Oh my
And
god, yes.
and
Holy shit, yes.
and two is that I definitely think this card is gonna go into most elf decks. I'm
Hmm.
not sure if she's a better commander than say like Freyalise or Azuri, but I definitely think that she can go into a deck for sure.
I think overall she's not. However, she's a legendary lord, which
Yeah.
you don't have much of. Like,
Right.
especially in elves. Like, you have
Plus,
stuff that interacts with your
she's
elves,
a
like Azuri, but like, or either of the any of the Rise. But she passively buffs all of your other elves just by being there, which I think can be critical.
and
Right.
she's a reach elf, which I think
Hmm.
is really important commander, especially
That's
green.
another thing that elves can struggle with is dealing with flyers.
Right. Um, Talent of the Telepath is another one that I was kind of excited about. I mean, target opponent reveal the top 7 cards of his or her library, and you may cast an instant or sorcery card from among them without paying its mana cost. And that player puts the rest of the cards into his or her graveyard. And it's the first one we talked about that has a new keyword Spell Mastery, which is if there are 2 or more instant or sorcery cards in your graveyard, you may cast. It gives it a modified ability. In this case, it being you can cast 2 revealed instant or sorcery cards instead of 1. I think this card is huge because it costs 4 mana. And most cards that do stuff like this throughout there have cost at least like 5 or 6. And the fact that you can potentially get 2 cards off of this for 4 mana
Makes it
is
really
going to be
strong.
super huge. Like I definitely feel like this card is going to see Commander play a lot.
Yeah,
Yeah,
definitely.
I think so
For
too.
4.
Also, just
Um,
spell mastery, I think, lends itself to commander.
I think it does too.
Yeah.
Let's see here. Other things that I really like. Where did it go?
Dark Petition is I think we'll see some play. I mean, it's a tutor that
Tutor
I
it,
think it
give
will.
it
it's
mana.
it's a tutor that potentially becomes demonic tutor.
Hmm.
Um, Animist Awakening I think is definitely going to see some play too.
You tap X cards from your library, put all land cards from among them on the battlefield, tap the rest of them. Yeah, for example, that would go into your land stack, John.
Oh, for
And
sure.
also, it's Tiny Leaders legal, so if we wound up building a Tiny Leaders version of that now that you found your Azusa,
Right.
then maybe.
Hallowed Moonlight is going to be, I think, huge.
Hmm.
Not just for Commander, but I think
Oh,
Modern is going to love
yeah,
this
I think
card.
Modern is going to play this card a lot in some sideboards. It can delay Splinter Twin a turn, but more importantly, like it deals with, basically it's a Modern Containment Priest. So it'll deal with like all of those Grizzlebrand Reanimator decks that are popping up now. It'll deal with, oh man, it deals with actually a lot.
It does. I mean, like
Deals with, and also unlike Containment Priest, it's not non-token, so it deals with tokens as well.
it does. Um, Displacement Wave I think is going to see playing Commander. I mean, it's another blue way for blue to deal with
Hmm.
no boards. The
Yep.
Spoiler of Souls is interesting. I think it might see some Tiny Leaders play.
Uh, let's see. I think it's all right.
Well,
It
I was
wants.
thinking like I was talking to Gavin
It's
about it,
trying to
and
be. It's trying to be Bloodghast, but
it
it's
is.
not.
Well, I mean, I was. Yeah, I mean, it does want to be Bloodghast. Evolutionary Leap, I think, is going to see play in Commander, possibly Standard.
Maybe.
I mean, I
Guy's
was
Revenge is getting a reprint, which I think is interesting.
yeah,
But
I know, right?
Night of the White
Like I s-
Orchid getting a reprint is actually kind of big.
Yeah.
yeah, actually, I agree. Because Night of the White Orchid is awesome.
But let's be real, the important reprint, hands down, is Goblin Pile Driver.
Yeah, Goblin
Yeah.
Pile Driver. Uh,
For Commander players, Goblin players are going to love that this card's going to be more accessible. Modern players, like everyone I've talked to, is like, "Oh my god, I'm so excited to try Modern Goblins," or they're either super excited to try it, or they're like, "Oh man, everyone's going to be playing Modern Goblins." In go the board wipes, in go the Drown of Sorrows, the Anger of the Gods.
right. Um, Harbinger of the Tides. It's gonna be interesting. Um, I think I'm probably gonna put him into my Merfolk Commander deck.
This card is also actually something that a lot of people are excited for in Modern.
Yes, Modern Merfolk for sure. Um, like Alex mentioned, Gaia's Revenge is getting a reprint. Um, Jace's Sanctum looks interesting.
Uh,
I wish it was a three
yeah,
drop.
yeah.
I do wish it was a 3-drop.
Makes your instance of sorceries cost one less to cast, and it's 3 and a blue enchantment. Whenever you cast an instant or sorcery spell, scry one. I love that scry is evergreen now.
I know.
That's
Um,
awesome.
what I really
Honored
like.
Hierarch.
Huh?
Honored Hierarch
Yes.
is
I was
cool.
gonna say Sidisi. Super excited for Graveblade Marauder though. That card has me super
Uh,
excited.
oh yeah. Oh my
Cause
god. Yeah, I read that card and I was just like, holy shit, that card is insane.
yeah, like that card is pretty beastly. Herald of the Pantheon is gonna be nifty. I think is gonna be relevant maybe, depending on what colors enchantments end up uh, being the dominant colors.
Hmm. Yeah.
But like
A
Alex said,
lot.
honored. Huh?
Oh, sorry. Continue.
No, I said honored hierarch.
There's a lot of functional reprints in this set. Well, pseudo reprints, I guess we'll say. Like Days Undoing is kind of a time twister, which is crazy. But Honored Hierarch is, of course, supposed to be like Noble Hierarch. It has green. It costs a green. It's a 1/1 human druid. It has a renown 1, which renown is whenever this creature deals combat damage to a player. If it isn't renowned, put a +1/+1 counter on it, and it becomes renowned. As long as as long as Honored Hierarch is renowned, it has Vigilance and tap, add 1 mana of any color to your mana pool. So if you can get it on turn 1, it's amazing. After that, it's kind of honestly. But
Right.
another pseudo reprint is Relic Seeker. It's kind of it'll basically be a modern balanced um, Stoneforge Mystic.
Stoneforge.
Oh, it's
Um.
also the buy box promo as well for the set.
Oh,
Okay.
nice.
Yep.
Languish, as I know, is a card that a lot of people are excited for.
Yeah.
Yeah. Really good board wipe.
I'm also pretty
It's
sure. I think pre-orders for it are at like $14 right now.
are
Too.
they crazy?
Yeah, I think so.
It
Last
it
I
has
looked.
a huge impact on standard, but
Yeah.
it's basically a mutilate that. Oh wow! All right, so if you mouse over Languish after clicking on it, you get the full, you get the extended art because it's
If you
apparently
click
the
on
game
it,
day. If you click on it and then mouse over the picture, you'll see the extended art because I'm pretty sure it's the game day promo, and it is damn
oh,
pretty.
that is fantastic. Actually, that's awesome.
Yeah.
Very pretty.
Let's see here. What else? Sigil of the Empty Throne is getting reprinted, which is kind of cool. Um,
Um,
oh, I really
I'm,
like this Willbreaker card.
I like Willbreaker too. I
Hmm.
want Willbreaker very much. So,
I don't know.
this was Revelation.
All right, so
Yeah.
what
I kind of
Willbreaker
like
does? What Willbreaker does
Yeah.
is it's a 2/3 for 3 and 2 blue, which it's a wizard, so yay wizards. But whenever a creature an opponent controls becomes the target of a spell or ability you control, gain control of that creature for as long as you control Willbreaker. So this is an example. Let's say you have the Gideon Planeswalker out, and you've got Willbreaker out, and you +1 Gideon to make someone else's creature indestructible. Then you get an indestructible creature of theirs that you get to keep.
Right.
It seems pretty solid.
Definitely.
It in fact does seem solid.
The only thing I'm worried about is like if you're
It's got
playing
a small
mono
butt.
blue.
Yeah.
Because in mono blue, most of your spells are going to be like, oh, I bounce that to your hand, which you don't want to happen.
Yeah, you probably
if you
don't
wanna
play
get
it in
control of it.
you probably don't play it a ton in mono blue, but blue X or blue XX.
Nissa's Revelation I'm kind of excited for. I kind of like that card. Also, Emrakul, again.
Mm-hmm.
And I bet that card is going to look really pretty foil, too.
What? Emrakul.
Nissa's
It's-
Revelation. He's on the art.
Oh, okay. I was like, Emrakul's not getting reprinted in this set. What are you talking about?
Tainted Remedy I'm kind of
Jesus,
excited for in
Nick.
Commander.
Yep, I
Kind
think
of
it's
excited for.
yes, it's another oh my god, it's a cheaper version, isn't it?
It is. And it doesn't affect you.
Oh, this super shuts down Soul Sisters.
It super shuts. Yeah, it does.
I think this card's actually really good.
Yeah.
Or is it cheaper?
Yeah. Reign of Gore costs 2 and then red black.
No, it's just red black.
Oh, is it?
However, this is monocolored, so more decks can play it. Let's see here. So commons and uncommons that I think are Bryn Wingmare is also another pseudo reprint. It's basically like a
Thalia.
less Thalia, more what is it, glow something glower.
Mm-hmm.
I can't think of the name, but the original Thalia.
Like commons,
I really
uncommons. Oh yeah, go on.
I really like the power level of most of the uncommon cards in this set.
Me too. I think this set will actually be amazing in limited. I am super excited to play this in limited.
Okay.
Because there's a lot of awesome things like Blessed Spirits. That card just seems awesome. 2/2
Yeah.
for 2 and a white, flying. Whenever you cast an enchantment spell, put +1/+1 counter on Blessed Spirits. That seems really good.
Yeah. I'm definitely considering putting that in Tristani as well.
I don't know. I think at that point it's just a little too much. I think it's deviating too much from what Tristani wants to do.
That's true though. Elemental Bond is going to be interesting though, because whenever a creature powerless enters the battlefield, draw a card.
3 or greater.
That might go into just 3 or greater. Oh my gosh! Why do I keep thinking 3 or less? Okay, still not.
It's still good.
Still really good.
Just not insane.
It's a draw engine that can be difficult to get rid of for green.
Yes.
Here we are. Psychic Rebuttal is probably, in my opinion, the best uncommon in the set.
I don't know, man. Flashback Marauder.
Flashback Marauder is really good. Like,
Flashback Marauder is really good.
And they're kind of indicating a return to tribal somewhat. So.
Yeah. But yeah, I like
solid.
Psychic Rebuttal a lot too. I'm definitely gonna pick up a couple copies of that card.
I love the flavor text.
Yeah.
I know what you're thinking, Jace whispered in the mage's mind. It's not going to work.
Perfect for a counterspell.
Well, yeah, counter target instant or sorcery spell that targets you. It has spell mastery, so if there are 2, and it costs 1 and a blue. If there are 2 or more instant or sorcery cards in your graveyard, you may copy the spell countered this way. You may choose new targets for the copy.
Sylvan Messenger reprint, I think, is really important.
It is, for Modern, it's really important.
Sphinx's Tutelage.
I
really
think this
like that
card... Yeah, the idea that this card's an uncommon, I think,
Yeah.
I want to draft this.
I mean, like, again, that power creep.
All right, so the mythic artifact that you know if you would draw a card, blah blah blah, plus brainstorm plus this equals brainstorm equals draw 6, put 2 on top, target player mills at least 12.
Right. Not including that, whenever they mill from that, they you get maybe multiple triggers off of each, a chance for multiple triggers off of each card.
Hmm. That's why I said at
So
least
yeah,
12.
at least 12. It's nice.
And then late game, if you need to, it can loot. Solid.
Exactly.
This card will actually, I think it'll see a fair amount of commander play for the mill decks. Mill's getting actually
Mhm.
more help than we expected from this set. But
Yeah.
this card is going to see, I think, a ton of play in tiny leaders.
Oh yeah, for sure. Um, Seeing as how mill is already a pretty strong strategy in tiny leaders. I mean, Turn to Frog is back, as I
Love
mean,
turn
it's
to
always been.
frog.
Hmm.
Shadows of the
Rivet.
Past, I kind of like. Whenever a creature dies, scry one.
Yeah, and then it has an
Yeah,
ability. So
it has an ability, which is okay. But the biggest
it's
thing again is just that scry one whenever something
yeah.
dies.
So it's an enchantment that can go into like black white constellations or whatever, and basically it like it's it's got that effect that uh help me out, green black 4-drop,
It's some kind of Gorgon thing. I know what you're talking about, I think.
Reaper of the
Oh,
Wilds.
Reaper of the Wilds.
That Reaper of the Wilds has. And
Yep.
but it could still do some damage on its own, but it's more so the scrying, and it'll interact with your other cards that you're winding up playing because of Constellation.
Another one that I'm excited for is just Zendikar's Royal again, just for my land deck. Because whenever a land enters the battlefield under your control, put a 2/2 green elemental on the battlefield. Which I
Hmm.
mean, like again,
Um,
I mean it's not major, but like it's advantage.
did
More
you
impressive.
see? Did you see the Spell Slingers episode with Allison Hayslip in Day 9?
No, I have it. I just haven't. I
All right,
have it
so
like in there.
slight spoiler alert. There's a point where Allison Hayslip has two of this card out on the battlefield, and Day 9 is just like draw it, draw it, draw anything but a land. Please draw a spell. Don't draw lands. And it's like, well, this feels weird.
Nice. Does she actually know how to play Magic? I can't
She learned
remember.
how to play like the day before,
Oh, okay. I like
but
Allison Hayslip.
she had always wanted to learn.
I
This
like
this
Allison
card
Hayslip though.
is kind of like one of those. Hey, next set Zendikar, so be
Yeah,
ready.
yeah, and also I think this card in limited is actually like amazing.
Oh yeah, for sure. And it's an uncommon, so you can definitely pull more than one.
Yeah,
Um, I like commons now. Caustic Caterpillar. I just kind of like the art on that card.
and just the name, like Caustic Caterpillar, that's kind of badass.
Alliteration is awesome.
The rare and beautiful butterflies inspire the design of our Thopters. The larvae, however, are a different story entirely.
I love it.
And it's naturalized on a stick, so I mean it's nifty.
Right. Um, Indeed. I
Elvish
mean, we're getting
Visionary's
a
we're getting Elvish Visionary back in standard. So
right.
Yeah, they're doing a
Nice.
lot of that. Green enters the battlefield again, like they did. That was M14, I think.
yeah,
Yeah,
we're
We
getting a
have
lot of black elves, which I like.
yeah. Well, because remember, because we have Nissa Planeswalks as Lorwyn, right? So that's why.
Hmm.
Might of the Masses, I think, is going to be an interesting card. Target creature gets +1/+1 until end of turn for each creature you control. That might be an interesting card for like elves in Modern.
Hmm. Which actually Macabre Waltz is getting a reprint, which that card's not particularly good. I mean it's all right, but um, I'm
I
just
think in
mentioning it.
limited, I think in limited is going to be really good.
I'm just mentioning it because it's one of my brother's Tyler. It's one of Tyler's favorite cards ever. Because it's actually a reference to like a 200-year-old Baroque waltz, or not a lot older than that. Like, God, Baroque era would have been like 300 to 400-year-old Baroque waltz.
Yeah,
So that's really cool.
nice. Um,
There's a lot of awesome art in this set.
yeah, there's a lot of cards in here that just have like really cool art. I mean, Read the Bones we're getting again.
Hmm. Yep. Oh, Reclaim's getting reprinted, which
Yeah,
that's pretty solid. Instant
that it
green.
is
Put a card from your graveyard on top of your library. Not bad.
for sure, for sure.
What? Smash the Smithereens is getting reprinted in standard. That's actually huge. I
Really?
mean, there aren't a ton of like important artifacts right now in standard, but you know this set will be in standard for a while, so we might see some,
Um,
especially in Battle for Zendikar, because like you know, because
um,
Nahiri's there.
All the Leonin. Well,
um,
no, there's some, but there
as
wasn't
far
very
as
many. Is the
getting to
chorus.
the multicolored cards,
Yeah,
uncommon. Thunderclap Wyvern. I'm kind of excited for. That's probably gonna go into my dragon deck somehow.
yeah,
Not
I
sure
like that
yet.
card. I actually like that card a lot.
Yeah, I mean it's
And
a
then
lord.
mhm,
It's a dragon lord without being a
with
dragon lord,
Flash, and it has Flash.
and it has flash,
So
and it's blue
actually,
and white, which is the
I think
best.
actually it could go into like some blue-white control stuff if there winds up being more decent flying things getting printed in future sets. You can have
Hmm.
like a blue-white flying control thing.
A card Alex might want though is Shaman of the Pack though for tiny leaders.
Uh,
So good.
Remember some target opponent loses. Yeah, I saw that card, and I've been thinking about it.
I mean, like I don't know how like I mean like
I've been starting to
justifying a
get a
spot
little
for it
bit
might
more
be hard.
tokeny. I got a I picked up a Imperious Perfect for the deck, so I am getting a little bit more tokeny, so it might be worth it.
Right. I mean, maybe even just like a sideboard card at first, just to see how it goes
Yeah.
against like people that don't have a whole bunch of removal. It can definitely be like a
hmm
good way to get some damage.
I think
Um.
actually really big though is this Bounding Krasis. The
Yeah.
one green blue fish lizard with flash. When added to the battlefield, you may tap or untap target creature. It's a 3/3. A
Yeah.
lot of people are expecting this to go into like Team or Twin and Modern,
Mm-hmm.
which we'll
I
see.
can believe that. Um. Orb of Warding is going to be interesting. It's another way. It's another card that they're kind of slowly printing cards that give players hexproof that
hmm
aren't Leyline of Sanctity,
Yeah.
so that people can actually have them.
hmm
Um. You know. But it also, if a creature deal damage, you prevent one of that damage, which I mean isn't huge.
Yeah.
But I mean,
I'm
It can
I
stop one
mean,
once.
I right. But I mean,
can.
like Witchbane Orb costs what 4? So I mean, basically for one
Yeah.
extra, you get some damage prevention. So I mean,
Yeah, and Witchbane Orb also when it enters the battlefield destroys all curses, but outside of that block, it never mattered.
right, exactly. So I mean, like I think for me personally, I'd much rather just pay the one extra to
Yeah.
get some damage prevention
Which yeah,
for
the
sure,
curses thing was more for limited purposes. But
for
this
sure.
Sword of the Animus seems really awesome.
Yeah,
I
it
love
Cost
this
seems
2,
card.
equip
really good.
2, equipped creature gets +1/+1. Whenever equipped creature attacks, you may search your library for basic land cards, put down the battlefield, tap them, shuffle your library.
I mean, like I could definitely see this in like art, like equipment decks for sure. Anyway,
It is consistent colorless mana ramp. You can put this in a blue
exactly,
deck with a flyer. Just
exactly.
attack somewhere that doesn't have a flyer to block.
Right. I was about to say like I mean like even in tiny leaders, you just equip this like an invisible stalker,
Yeah.
and boom, you get a land drop every turn now,
I
which
like
is
the
not
Chief of the
awful.
Foundry. It's an artifact lord at uncommon.
I do. I saw that. I like it.
And it looks freaking awesome.
It does, right? Like this like awesome
His I am
like
the
multi-leg,
centipede machine.
hmm
right? Um I
let's see
like the
here.
Jam Day Tome reprint.
Well, that's been like a bunch of sets for forever now.
I know. It's still
It's still one of the prettiest foils ever.
it is.
There was one card that I specifically missed, and I'm trying to find it. It's it's a it's an elf that's either it's black or it's green. I forget which, but it taps for the other color.
Oh yeah.
Here it is. Gnarl Root Trapper. It's an uncommon. Cost a black elf druid. Pay 1 life. Tap. Add green to your mana pool. Spend this mana only to cast an elf creature spell. But it
mhm,
can also tap to give target attacking elf creature you control Death Touch until end of turn. I think this card's awesome.
it is. And then for lands, I mean we're getting the pain lands again, but the ones from M15,
hmm
not the enemy covered lands,
Yeah, so
which made me sad.
yep, we're getting allied colored lands again. You know,
Um, and then we're also getting a Rogue's
or
Passage
no,
reprint.
these are enemy colored.
Right, we don't have the
We're getting the
allied
enemy
colored ones.
colored.
Sorry,
Yeah. Rogue's
Rogue's
Passage
Passage
reprint.
reprint. Um, we have two new lands. we have a Foundry the consoles, which is just tapped for 1. But you can pay 5 and sacrifice it to put 2 Thopters into play.
It's kind of
Which
but it's all
it's
right.
kind of eh. The
It's not
better
bad and
one
limited.
is Majoring Network, which I also really want to foil of this card.
Yeah.
Add a 1 to your mana pool, or you can pay 1 and tap it to put a storage counter on it, and then you can tap and remove X storage counters from it to add X colorless to your mana pool. So I feel like artifact decks are probably going to want to use this card for sure.
It's so it's a better and worse Mirrodin's Core. Because you have to pay mana to put on the charge counters. However, Mirrodin's Core can only remove 1 charge counter at a time. So
Right.
yeah.
And then we just have our basic lands, which some have some really pretty art.
Yeah, as always, because Magic. And then they've actually got Zendikar, some Zendikar art in here.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Zendikar Forest.
One of the islands is Zendikar.
Actually, 2 of the forests are Zendikar. No, one of the islands.
No,
None of the islands are Zendikar.
Wow, never mind. I was thinking Ravnica. Oh my god. Yeah, but yeah, Zendikar. 2 of the forests are Zendikar. I actually think that's all Zendikar, actually. Only the forest has Zendikar art. Because
No.
Nissa.
No, so
The
blue
middle 2
has.
aren't.
So all the blue stuff is Jace art, so it's got things from his home plane, and then things from Ravnica. The white is
Right.
Gideon, so we've got some things from
Vance and Theros, but no
Yeah.
Zendikar. Zendikar is
And
only green because Nissa.
because
was
that's
from
Nissa.
Zendikar.
Black's got Innistrad and Dominaria, and red
And then,
has whatever I can't pronounce it, but actually I don't know how to say either of them.
Kaladesh.
Yeah,
It's Kaladesh, and then I can't remember the plane that she goes
something
to.
that's just super kind of barren and fiery.
Yes.
But yeah, so that's basically the set. Overall,
That's
how would you rate it, guys?
Overall, I like it. I think it's good. I'm excited to play it. I'm excited to play in the pre-release and this week and see how it goes.
Actually,
I haven't decided what color rather I'm
Mhm.
going to go with. I mean, I'm kind of leaning toward red because I kind of want Chandra. You know,
Mhm.
are the Planeswalkers going to be one of the promos? Do you know?
I don't know.
Okay. I mean, I definitely feel like for limited, red has some of the.
Although
strong suits.
the color matters a lot less now. The way it works
Yeah.
is you're going to get 6 packs. For those of you that don't know how pre-releases are going to work for Origins, you're going to pick a color, and then you're going to get a little box for that color. And in the box is going to be 6 packs of Magic Origins, and then plus 1 seeded pack that has I think it's 7 cards that are only of that color. So
Right.
as before, it was you get 5 packs and then your seeded pack of 15 cards. Where way before, it was you just got 6 packs of the set. So now I think it's kind of a best of both worlds thing, and
Yeah.
I'm really excited for it.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think honestly, blue might be the worst color to play in the draft. But at this
Yeah.
point,
Yeah.
like it's just that seeded pack of like 6 or 7 cards, so like you don't really need to worry about it. Like if you want to specifically get like Jace, assuming the Planeswalkers are a promo you can get, then you can just pick blue, and you should just be fine.
Right? Yeah. But I'm excited, and I mean, I'll definitely I'll be talking about it next week. My
Absolutely.
my
Which,
limited experience.
speaking of which, next week for the podcast, it's going to wind up being at a different time. We think it'll still be Monday. We haven't been able to get all the information together about scheduling and stuff, but I will be posting it on my Twitter, which you can see below my camera here on the overlay. I will be posting about it on my Twitter and on my Facebook. What we wind up deciding at least prior to Monday. But we don't know for sure when the podcast will exactly be yet.
Mhm.
Overall, I think this is a very solid set. It's definitely one of the better core sets we've had.
Yeah.
I would give it an 8 out of 10. I mean, it's no cons of Tarkir with fetch lands being added to modern and having 2 cards that had to get banned in modern because they're too good. You know, it's no cons, but
Right.
I think the set is very good.
I like the fact that this being a core set, I don't feel like very many of the cards were just thrown in there because they're like, well, people are drafting this set. We have to have cards that
Well,
people can
actually,
draft.
if we go down to the very bottom, there's some cards that are in the set that you can't open in packs because they are only in the sample decks. However, they wanted to keep them in rotation.
Okay.
Aegis Angel, Divine Verdict, and they're all reprints. Aegis
Yeah.
Angel, Divine Verdict, Eagle of the Watch, Sarah Angel, Into the Void, Mahatma Jin, Weave Fate, Flesh to Dust, Mind Rot, Nightmare, Sengir Vampire, Fiery Hellhound, Shivan Dragon, Plummet, Prized Unicorn, and Kara Stopper.
Right. Which I mean is nice. I
Good
mean, some of these
cards.
cards are yeah. I mean, they're all right.
Some of them are
Terrastomper's
actually
solid.
playable.
Probably will never play the Jin in my life, but whatever.
Yeah, he's kind of bad. But
I don't think
it's fun
anybody.
to try to get people to say his name right.
Yeah.
Mahatma Jin.
Mahatma Jin.
Maha-
Maham.
but what about that T?
Hotman? Hotman! Hotman! Hotman!
Hotman.
Maha-
Sifu Hotman.
Flameo Hotman!
Oh my God! Yes, Flameo. Oh, okay. We're done, guys. This is a
We
good
are.
episode. Thank you for
So,
joining us. We will see you next week.
yes,
And
yes, we will, at a time that I will be announcing on Twitter and on Facebook, as mentioned.
as soon as possible.
Yes.
All right.
Yay!
Have a good night.
Yeah.